Good evening and welcome to the April 4th, 2013 TV Toastmasters meeting. We have a really good meeting in store tonight. We have two speakers. We're going to have table topics. We'll have our evaluation portion of the meeting where we will get feedback on how we've been doing for the different speaking roles in our meeting. I'm filling in for our club president, Michelle Lewis, tonight. I'm Steve Ehrenholtz. I'm the Vice President of Membership for TV Toastmasters. A couple of things for the studio audience here. I have nomination forms for our upcoming club officer elections, and I'd appreciate it if you would fill those out if you haven't done so already. Also, we will be having an effective listening workshop on Saturday, April 13th, here at the Anderson Community Center. I will not belabor the details too much because this production will be broadcast in May, so we'll already have our workshop behind us. The other thing that I would like to point out for the Toastmaster members that are here is I have a sign-up sheet for our upcoming meetings. I will put it over here on the side, and if you haven't signed up, you can either sign up here or you can go to our website at www.tvtoastmasters.com and sign up for our next meeting. However far ahead you want to sign up, you can sign up. Our Toastmaster for this evening is one of our more enthusiastic Toastmaster members. She's also the one that helps keep us in line. And I would appreciate it if you would all help me welcome our Toastmaster for this evening, Carol Cormelink, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, and welcome everyone, and especially our guests. We have two guests this evening, one who is a Toastmaster from another club, which is Diego, and Terry Wellman, who found us on the internet. My job as Toastmaster is keep the meeting running on time. We are off to a good start here. Not too far behind already. We have three parts to our meeting. We have an impromptu part where we have the word of the day, and we have table topics where you are invited to answer a question not of your choosing, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to think on your feet. So when that boss asks you that question, instead of having brain freeze, you have something to say, intelligent. And then we will go into the table topics. After that, we have the prepared section where we have the speakers who have prepared their speeches. And as Steve said, we have two speakers tonight. I will be introducing both of them. And you'll notice in front of you, you have a little form. It's called an evaluation form, and you can write a love note, words of encouragement to the speaker and tell them what they did well, or if you question something they said that wasn't quite clear, help them to do a better speech the next time they do that. And then we go to the fun part of the meeting, to the evaluation part where you get the feedback, you listen, and you respond and give feedback. And those are where the evaluators and my other team members tonight, I'm also the general evaluator. We have a grammarian who will count the ahs and the ums and see how many of us used the word of the day, which is a challenge when she comes up here to give that. And then we have a report. We time everything. Those meetings that were supposed to end in a half an hour and they went on for 45 minutes or an hour, they won't do that when they're Toastmasters. I would like to welcome our first person up here today. Mary Arms will give us the word of the day, and she has a great word. She is a competent communicator, which means she's gone through the 10 projects in the manual.
Thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. Today, the word is advise. And I will put that here, and I hope it sticks. There. And advice means to give counsel to offer an opinion, is worthy as expedient to be followed, and to deliberate, consider, and consult. And the word advise is a verb. And thank you very much.
Thank you for that great word of the day. We ought to be able when you come up here, I advise you to use that word in a sentence. And I'm always given an advice. And I read that the best advice, if you haven't been asked to give advice, is don't give advice, which I do anyway, whether I'm asked or not. Our next is the fun part where we will have the presiding officer. Steve Ehrenholtz will be leading us in the table topics where you answer a question not of your choosing, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to think on your feet. Let us welcome Steve Ehrenholtz, Distinguished Toastmaster. Steve.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our honored guest that we have with us tonight, and those of you looking in from home. As Carol mentioned, this is our impromptu speaking portion of the meeting. We call it Table Topics. I have several questions here that I'm going to ask, and no one knows who's going to get the question until after I've asked it, and then I'll call on them, and they will come up here and basically assemble a short speech, which would have an opening, a body, and a conclusion, but they're doing it pretty much off the top of their head. I was looking around today for table topic questions, and I hadn't realized that April 1st to 7th is National Asbestos Awareness Week. I also came across something from the Surgeon General talking about the importance of controlling indoor radon levels. And I thought, yeah, I've been seeing all the flyers from the home improvement stores telling you that there's all kinds of stuff available to buy and take home so you have more work to do. My focus on our table topics tonight is the things that we do when spring arrives, as far as fixing up our house, cleaning stuff up, making some improvements. So my first question is, what kinds of spring home repair or home improvement activities are you completing around your home, and why? Tony?
Thank you. Hi. My name's Anthony Martinez. I'm here tonight to talk about what I'm doing around my home. Well, we did have a mild winter this year, but some ice got on the rain gutters and caused them to separate from the roof part there. Obviously, you can tell I'm not an expert in construction, but when I do step outside my front door and it's raining throughout the spring, as it does here in Ohio, I get very wet. So I will be repairing the rain gutters around my house, as well as doing some painting. And as well, I think that it's time to remove some of the plastic window covers that have insulated the house through the winter. So with that, I just like to say I enjoy doing these kinds of things around the house, and I hope that you have an enjoyable time as well with your spring cleaning and your home repair. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Or Tony, sorry. Yeah, one of the protocols that we have in Toastmasters is that you never leave the lectern unattended. You always hand over control of the lectern. So when I announce or call upon someone actually to come up here and speak, I will stay here and wait until they have come up here, and I'll greet them, shake their hand, and hand over the control of the lectern to them. Similarly, when they're finished speaking, they will wait for me to get back out here and hand over the control of the lectern to me. So that's one of the protocols we have in Toastmasters. We also stand behind the lectern, and we stand on a podium, which you would consider this raised floor area that we have up here, the podium. A lot of times you'll hear people talking about how they're up here behind the podium, and they're not really under the floor. So the podium is not what we stand behind, it's what we stand on. Well, my second table topic this evening is, what kind of ladders do you use at your house, and what steps do you take to use the ladder safely? Diego?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, in terms of ladders, I only have, well, I used to have two. There was a very long ladder that I used for climbing specifically to the attic, and I don't have it anymore. There was another person who lived in my house, and she took it, so I don't have that anymore. So I don't have, I cannot even climb to that. But I have a small one that I recovered after the person left, so I have to suggest to her or advise to return it to me. And I found it, she gave it back to me, and it's very small, so it's only like this 5 feet. What I use this ladder is just probably for changing some bulbs in some areas, but basically I don't use the ladder for anything else. I probably, sometimes if I have some closets that are very tall, I have a big stand that I put close, and then I prefer just to go to that one, which is more safe. I have like a 4 legs than even standing in a ladder. So I think for me, I use a different kind of ladder than that one. So that's what I have, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diego. Well, I have a 22-foot extension ladder. I have a little giant ladder that you can put into all kinds of configurations. But it only takes a 6-foot fall to kill somebody. So you don't have to actually fall that far to be injured quite severely. And one of the important things about a ladder is that you have to set it out from the wall 1 foot for every, let me see, oh, I should know this. You set it out 1 foot for every 4 feet that it's going up. And usually ladders will actually have a little visual aid on the side, on the rail, that will show you what proper ladder positioning involves. Other things that you do not want to do is prop up one leg with something because the floor or whatever the surface is not level. So one of the ladders I have actually has this little extension leg you can put on it and screw it down tight. Okay, what shall we talk about next? Well, as I mentioned, the Surgeon General came out with an advisory regarding radon. And I don't know how many people realize that radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States, particularly among non-smokers. Have you had your home tested for radon? If so, what did you learn and what actions did you take? And if not, what are your thoughts about having your home tested? Rick?
Thank you, Steve. My understanding is that radon gas is a byproduct of the uranium process by which it, the isotopes or whatever, as uranium decays. So interestingly enough, we have a lot of uranium in the state of Ohio, and I never knew that uranium was literally underneath us all the time. So this radon gas apparently is everywhere, but I have done nothing to free my home of radon gas, because my understanding is that most of that gas resides in the basement of my home, and I don't spend a lot of time in the basement. I'm down there in the gym working out every once in a while, not as often as I would like to, I must admit. Or I'm down there scooping the litter boxes to make sure that the cats have a clean place to go to the restroom. In addition, there's a bunch of junk stored down there in the basement, and I don't really spend a lot of time hanging out with that junk. I have not taken the time to be safe, conscious, and otherwise supportive of my family and the animals who live in my family by testing for radon. But now that I know that it's Radon Awareness Month, and I hope each and every one of you will go out and buy a test kit and check your home for radon gas. Good topic, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yes, radon is a decay product in the uranium decay series, and it's present in the soil. It can vary, even within a neighborhood. It can also be present in water. If you have groundwater, that is your drinking water source, you can have radon in the water. And to sample for it is actually pretty easy. You basically buy the sampler, or you get a sampler for the radon gas. You have to open it up, date when you start it. You put it out for short term. It could be a week. If you do longer term sampling, it could be for 6 months. That's what I did for my house. I did a 6-month sample to see what the level would be. And if your levels are 4 picocuries or above, they recommend that you do something to lower those levels. Even if you're approaching 4 picocuries per liter, you usually want to take some measures to reduce the radon level. With the nicer weather coming, people will be more inclined to use their barbecue grills. What precautions do you take when using a grill? And that can be either charcoal or gas. And I'm going to ask Bobby to come up here and tell us what he does with grilling. Just as long as he doesn't tell me he doesn't grill at all. You don't grill at all? Well, what would you do then?
Thank you, sir,
Sure.
Mr. Toastmaster. Let me advise you that when you are grilling, charcoal especially, be careful. Stand back when you put your gasoline on. Because when you throw that match on, whoosh, you don't want to get hit in the face with that flame. That flame can, number one, singe your eyebrows. If you have facial hair, say goodbye. For that whoosh, it's just going to take it all away from you. If you have gas, be careful when you cook your hamburgers. If you leave the burner too high, or close your lid, walk away for 5 minutes, you could come back to an inferno. So I highly suggest that when you are cooking your food on a grill, take caution. That's all I've got. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you, Bobby. Actually, you don't use gasoline to start a charcoal fire. You use lighter fluid. Well, some people have done that, but it is not the brightest thing to do, and it's not advised. The other thing is, if you've tried lighting your charcoal with the lighter fluid and it didn't light, you don't just grab the bottle and start spraying it, because you may still have some embers in there that would ignite immediately. All right, I'm going to hand back the control of our meeting to our Toastmaster for this evening, Carol Cormelink.
Thank you, Steve, for those wonderful topics. I learned so much at Toastmasters. I saw the name radon, but I didn't think it would apply to me. I didn't know it could be in my house and be dangerous. And about the ladder, I didn't know that about. I put one up in the tub one time, which is not too good. And when I fell off of it, my leg was up through the thing that up there, that rung up there. It was up through there. I'm going, I could have killed myself. So I was fortunate that I didn't get hurt. Very, very good. That was informative. Thank you for those, Steve. We now come to the prepared speaking part of our program, and our first speaker this evening will be working from the Competent Communicator Manual, the first manual, basic manual. Her topic is Get to the Point. She has 5 to 7 minutes, and the speech title is Curveball. So many times in life, we are thrown curveballs, so to speak. Sometimes these wild pitches take us down avenues we did not think to go down, and other times they leave us feeling blindsided. Sheena was thrown a curveball early in life that at first felt painful, but ultimately it changed her life for the better. Let us welcome Sheena Staten. Curveball. Curveball. Sheena Staten. Thank you.
I'm no-noting this today, so we'll see how this goes. just reread my introduction. So many times in life, we are thrown curveballs. Some of these wild pitches show us avenues that we didn't think to go down, and other times they leave us feeling blindsided. I was thrown such a pitch early in my life, and at first it felt painful, but then ultimately it changed my life for the better. So I have a story, a history lesson, and a demonstration for you today. As for the story, at a very early age, around 7, I was hit in the head twice by a baseball in the same month. The day I received my first blow, I was playing in my neighbor's yard, I was with my friends. The boys were throwing out balls and hitting them with bats. And so on this particular day, I got my first lesson and my first pop-up. And instinctually, I put my glove up, but I put it up over here on the other side of my face, not in front of my face, and I watched the ball fly through the air. And the only thing that I figured out that I was very good at watching the ball, if nothing else. So I watched it fly through the air and then smack me right in the head, and I fall to the ground. I see stars, I get up, I start crying, and I sprint across the yard up the hill, around our pond into our house, crying for my mother. Took a week of icing the knot and sleeping only on one side for those effects to subside. The second time I got hit in the head with a baseball was in the same month with the same friends in the same yard, but I was trying to be smarter this time. I didn't participate. My girlfriend and I were sitting on the fence behind the yard while the boys were throwing up balls and hitting them back to each other. It was quite incredible. I think their longest streak was 5 hits back and forth. I've never seen anything like it. But one line drive, this was my first line drive, it flies through the air. I'm watching the ball the whole time. As I said, I'm good at that, at least. And it just smacks me in the head. I fall off backwards off the fence. Once again, I get up crying. I'm sprinting across the yard, up the hill, around the pond, and to my house, crying for my mom. Again, another week of icing. Again, another week of laying only on one side. And I made a decision that day. I decided that baseball didn't like me, so I wasn't going to like it. I was never going to be around it again. In the same year, not even a month later, maybe it could have been more, I don't know. Within that very same year, my mother asked to speak with me in the dining room. She said she was approached by a man in a grocery store who was a softball coach and was looking for girls to play ball. I immediately take a step back. My eyes get wide. I start tearing up. I'm like baseball? I said incredulously. My mom could not calm me down for a little bit. I was like, I don't want to play. I don't want to play. And then finally she persuaded me. She said all I had to do was try it, and then I didn't have to play it if I didn't like it. So thinking I was being very clever, I go to the tryouts, planning to rush through everything. Excuse me. Planning to rush through everything so I can get my mom off my back and I can go back to my safe and happy life. But something unexpected happened. I ended up loving it. I was really good at it with the proper instruction, and I played ball from that day forth for 11 years until I was 18 or 19. And it's funny how a sport invented 112 years prior to my first accident could have impacted my life so greatly. And for the history lesson, softball was invented in a boat club in 1887 on Thanksgiving Day. These men were sitting around waiting for a Harvard and Yale football game to be announced, the score to be announced over the radio. And after it was announced, they all settle their bets, and someone picks up a pair of boxing gloves. Don't know why boxing gloves were in a boat club, but that's where they were. They ball them up, and one Harvard supporter tosses it to a Yale supporter. And they're young kids, they pick up something and start swatting at it. And this man named George Hancock yells, "Play ball." And that's when history started. And the next week, he crafts this very thin bat for this 16-inch ball. No one wears gloves for this sport, and that's the first time, that's the first official sport for softball, which is very odd. Quickly, the sport spilled from the walls of the boat club, and it started catching on. It got supporters and it got followers. And the first name of the sport was indoor ball. You could only play it indoor, and it was crafted for baseball players in their off-season to keep in shape. And then, since it got so many supporters, it changed to indoor and outdoor ball. So now people can play it indoor and outdoor. And they're very creative with the names. So the following year, the game moved outdoors. There are 4 variations of softball. The first one is the 16-inch ball. That's the huge beach ball. And then the small bat, no gloves. The second is kitten ball. It just uses a 12-inch ball, a small bat. I don't know where kitten ball came from, but that's what they call it. And the third is slow pitch. I don't know if you've ever seen slow pitch. It's very slow, but you do wear gloves this time. Fast pitch is a little bit more intense. I started out slow pitch, I ended fast pitch. And the main difference between baseball and softball is that you must pitch underhand. So I don't know how to pitch a 16-inch ball or a kitten ball. And if I could, maybe I could show it to you, but I think it's something like dodgeball-like. But all I can show you is how to pitch a slow pitch and then a fast pitch. So for my demonstration portion, slow pitch is very easy. You start on the rubber, and you're just using your legs and your arm to guide it in a rainbow fashion over the bag, over the plate. So you start with this leg, move your arm back, and glide it in. The rainbowier, the better. And then with fast pitch is a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more intense, still underhand. You want to gather momentum like this, pop up into your power square, and snap your hips forward. These balls go really fast. They're 43 feet away from the plate, and that's why they're highlighter green, or else you couldn't see them. Now that you've learned a little bit more about me and how softball has impacted my life, you've learned a little bit of the history, and now if you should ever find yourself in a softball park, you'll know the difference between slow pitch and fast pitch.
Thank you for that education. I was in a restaurant today watching the Reds. I don't know, did they win or not? Well, it was in the 7th, and it was 4-5. We were winning to 5. Did they win? They did win. Oh, well, good. Okay, very good. So they're ahead now. It was 1-1. Now they're 2-1. We will have a moment to write some notes to Sheila, how well she's doing. I mean, Sheena. I was looking at Sheila, and who's next? And Sheena. If there was anything that you question about that or something she did well. Is he telling me when I'm going to have the minute? Okay. Okay. Welcome back, our viewing audience at home, our members in the studio. Our next speaker is working from the Competent Communication Manual, Project 7, which is researcher's topic. She is to give us many different resources for her research. Sometimes I did one the other night that used only one resource. You're supposed to use more than one. The title of her speech is Lights, Action. When you watch a film, you see a commercial, or view a TV show, did you ever think, I could do better than that? How hard could it be? Sheila Mudd Baker has a very small amount. Her words, I say she's got more than that. But she says she has a very small amount of experience in film production. She's been learning fast. She's going to condense her research into 7 minutes. Let us welcome Sheila Mudd Baker. Lights, action!
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, what do I know about films? The same as nearly everybody. That is, they're really fun to watch. I love to go to the theater. I love to watch television. I love commercials. I'm probably one of the few people who gets excited when commercials come on because each one of them is a little production. I'm an actor. I have been in many plays, but I've been also in 25 films. When you're an actor, First of all, you audition to get the part. Then you get a script. You memorize your script. And you turn up in the whatever way they tell you to turn up. I could be blonde like this. And you turn up and you do whatever the director says to do. Pretty simple. So I looked. It didn't look so hard. So when a friend of mine said, "Can you come by and help me with a film I'm making?" I thought, well, how hard could it be? I mean, I've been in dozens of films. It's really easy. Well, first I had to think about scripts because he handed me a script and it was so impossible to read. I thought, I need to get a book on script writing. So here's one, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Script Writing, which is a lot easier than a lot of other books on scripts to understand. Secondly, I needed a book on filmmaking. So I got another Complete Idiot's Guide, and this is independent filmmaking, to learn about that. Then, when I realized how much films cost, how to shoot a feature film for under $10,000. So my very first film cost about $10,000. And that is called Psycho Killer, and you can watch it on synapse.tv. You can get a free week of watching Synapse TV. It's called Psycho Killer, and it's really scary. You can tell that from the name. I'm in it. I worked on production, and I knew nothing. It was a good film, despite me. Now I'm working on another film, and I'm the producer for that film, and I'm terrified because now I'm working with people who know what they're doing, and I'm just trying to keep up with them. To begin with, we started with a script. The first fellow who called me wrote a script. The script he showed me the first time was a script someone else had written, and we were helping on that. This one is called The Last Battle, and this book was necessary, so I bought him a copy of that book. He didn't pay any attention. But he wrote the book, wrote the script, handed it to me, and I said, oh my goodness, we need a script writer. We went through 2 script writers, and after that, it's been rewritten 4 or 5 times. That's just the script. It is a full-length film. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal. I mean, anybody can fill in an hour and a half, 2 hours, no big deal. It takes months to make a 2-hour film. What I discovered was this independent filmmaking book, which I didn't read until now. This tells me a lot. There are a lot of things that are involved. First of all, it usually takes more than the $10,000. In fact, in Hollywood, if you say, I'm going to make a film for $100,000, $200,000, people go, you can't make a film for that much. Well, I know you can't. In fact, I've made a film for a lot less, small films. But you have to get together people who actually know what they're talking about. And before you even get there, you have to have a script good enough that you can show people. You have to write what's called a treatment, which is a synopsis about this long that tells you everything you want to know about the film if you want to be involved in the film. And you have to put together a trailer. That's where we are now. We've been working on this since August. And I have been meeting 3-4 times a week, either on the phone or face-to-face. In order to do a trailer, you have to treat that as a film itself. So you have to write a new script to make the trailer. One that's so condensed that it would make sense that in 45 to 60 seconds, you get the attention of the people. They have a fair idea what the film is about. And they say, oh, I have to see that film. Look at that. That looks wonderful. The Last Battle. So you can imagine it probably has some battle scenes in it. It'll have a battle scene, a big battle scene, which we've already decided will be done in the fall. So right now, I'm working only on the trailer. Where, on the side, other people are working on the budgets for the other parts. But on the trailer, which will start on the 14th of April, we have involved 31 crew members. 31 crew members. And about 200 people. Just to make a trailer. You'll only see most of those people for a second. One part of the trailer involves a 60-person high school band. We are putting together every single aspect of doing that with, at this point, no money. We have $3,400. We have to feed all of the people involved in the trailer, which will eat up our $3,400 before we even have any other cost. So to feed that number of people who are going to be there all day, it's going to be an expensive proposition. So I have learned a lot about just getting ready, about casting, about finding locations, about putting together a budget for a film. I put together budgets for myself. I'm terrible at it. I put together budgets for business. I'm even worse at that. I put together a budget for an organization that had a particular type of budget so I could do it. I've done that, but I've never put together a budget for a film. So thank goodness we have people who really know what they're doing. So that's one of the things you need too. When you make a film, you don't just need film, actors, cameramen, sound people, lighting people. You don't need just that. You need people to transport, people to feed, people to do the accounting, people for costumes, people for props. It just goes on and on and on. So the next time you see a film in a theater, read all the people listed at the end, and you will begin to get an idea. And no animals were killed in this speech.
Thank you very much, Sheila, for that enlightening speech. Wow, it's been a great meeting. Welcome back. We now come to the evaluation, the listening, responding, feedback part of the program. I am your general evaluator. I will return control of the meeting to the general evaluator. I will give control. Yes. Our first evaluator this evening, you'll notice there's a change on your agenda. Anthony Martinez will be evaluating Sheena's speech. Let us welcome Anthony Martinez.
Sheena, I'd like to say that I was watching everybody. We all enjoyed your speech. It looks like you were having a good time up here as well. It takes courage to come up here and to give a talk like that, especially with no notes, which I think was a very good job. Everyone, please join me in a round of applause for Sheena. A couple things I would say about it is that you made it very personal to all of us. And for that, I want to thank you because you shared part of your life and you shared many of your experiences, even the disastrous ones. How you turned a negative into a positive and how you overcame fear, which was very touching. I also want to say that I did not know about the history of softball, so I learned something. It was a very interesting story, and your speech was very informative in that way. I want to compliment you as well on your stage presence. You started off very strong, and I could tell as the speech got going, you really relaxed and got into it. I believe that you achieved your goal with this speech. So you were very personable with a great stage presence and presented a great deal of humanity and struggle, which really came through. And your talk just made me feel good at the end because you wrapped it up with a positive ending. And so I walked away feeling very happy. So thank you for taking your time to come out and share with us tonight, Sheena.
Thank you, Anthony. Our second evaluator this evening, evaluating Sheila's speech, is Rick Barron. He's an advanced communicator bronze, I think I have that wrong, and an advanced leader silver.
Thank you, Carol. Lights, action! I now know that I will never, ever create create my own movie. I started off thinking, Sheila, that your speech was about how you were trying to entice me to get into the acting business or into the business of filmmaking. How hard could it be? Putting up a camera and doing a few shakes or movements in front of it, right? That's all those people do. And then you progress to share your personal experience with us associated with the filmmaking process and the films that you've been a part of. You used the reference material as a guide for your speech in sharing what those learnings and experience have been. But I think part of the topic was about the facts and illustrations and examples from that reference material itself. So we really didn't learn what the book had to say. We learned about your experience and how that experience had played out in your life. Personally, I like the storytelling piece better, and that you drew me in with your experiences and captured me as you went through the different processes of the filmmaking process and your experience. But I think the topic was about sharing facts, examples, and illustrations out of the research. What I really enjoyed were your facial expressions. So there's something in here about using body language and vocal variety, and the facial expressions that you made in terms of know what they're doing. You talked to one section about know what they're doing, and the eyes. I think your eyes are they share, it's like a window into your soul. And they really communicated a lot for me. The same that you made the comment about the trailer. And again, your eyes really got me as part of the process that you used. There was a good opening, kind of getting us started, warming us up. Then the body associated with your story and experience. And kind of the conclusion about, you know what? There's a lot that goes into making these films, even the trailers. So why don't you sit back, relax, and recognize the fact of the contribution of literally the hundreds and sometimes thousands of people that contribute to making the things that we call entertainment. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Rick, for that very thorough evaluation. Another member of my team is the grammarian, who will evaluate the use of grammar, and she acts as the out counter. Mary Arms, competent communicator.
Thank you so much. Well, everyone had a couple clutch words. It's like Steve, you used so 3 times. Tony, you used the word but 1 time. 5 times. 3 times. So 4 times. And 1 lip smack. Diego, you used 5 times. Rick, congratulations. You didn't use 1 clutch word or any lip smacks. Bobby, you were the same way. Cool. Carol, Sheena, congratulations. Sheila, you had 1, and that was but, and a so. And that is my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if you catch that lip smack, and I'm glad that you did. I'm aware of lip smack since I do that. Thank you, Mary. Our next person, we have a change on the agenda there, is Bobby Hall, who will be giving us his time report, and I admire Bobby. This is one of his first roles here at the program at Toastmasters, and I am glad that he volunteered with a little arm twisting.
Thank you. All right. Where do we start? Looks like table topics. Tony, your time was 1 minute 8 seconds. Diego, 1:19. Rick, 1 minute and 36 seconds. Me, I'm a little bit slower, 55 seconds. I need to work on that. All right, then we go to Sheena in your speech, 6 minutes, 37 seconds. Awesome. Then we go to Sheila, 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Great job. Down to general evaluators. Back to you, Tony. It's 1 minute 52. Good job. Rick, 2 minutes, 48 seconds. And finally, Mary, 58 seconds. And however long I took.
Thank you very much. Great job of paying attention. Usually a timer, when they first do that, they forget to turn the lights on, and or they forget to do the timer. Oh, I forgot to do that. And some people are up there and they're wondering, am I talking long enough? And all of a sudden the red light is on because they forgot to turn on the green light for them. So you did very well. Thank you. It is now my privilege to make comments about the meeting. The meeting started a little bit late, but we were pretty well catching up on that. I would like to mention some of the roles tonight. I liked your word of the day, advise. Did you report on how many people had used that? I didn't hear that.
Yes, you did. And I
Yeah.
missed it. I missed
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry.
And I did in the beginning. I advise you, yeah. Okay. Advised me to pay attention. But you did a really good job anyway. On the table talks, Steve, as I said, I really like those. Those were great topics. And the replies that help people think. That's what the purpose of table topics is, to help you think on a moment's notice. On the speakers, I liked that I learned things from each person. I like the sparkle in Sheena's eyes. When she talks, her eyes glow. They sparkle. They shine. Great. On Sheila, I liked her speech on learning about the screenwriting. Now, to evaluate the evaluators, one of the things that I thought, Tony, you did really well in covering all that, and I liked the encouragement that you gave Sheena and how you enjoyed her speech. That was very good. One of the things, Rick, that you missed, when Sheila held up the book, she says, the script writer, and it was the screenwriter, and you didn't catch that little error because there are scripts in the screenwriter, I believe. But the title is actually the screenwriter. But you gave a very thorough evaluation, and again, you just oozed energy. I like the energy that you had when you're up here. That makes a meeting a lot more fun. The timer, Bobby, as I said, you did really well. And with that, I will return control of the meeting to our presiding officer, Steve Ehrenholtz. And one thing I forgot to mention, we clap to give them that wave of energy to get up here. And the other thing is that Steve came from my right, your left. I exit the opposite way so that I don't have to cross in front or behind him. People that come, when Anthony came from my left, your right, I exited the other way.
Thank you, Carol. Let's give our Toastmaster for this evening a round of applause. One of the things I'd like you to notice that Carol did at the end here, she actually had two roles. She was our Toastmaster for the evening, and she was our general evaluator. Toastmasters doesn't focus exclusively on speaking. We also have to listen, and that's what a large part of the evaluator's activity is when they're watching what's going on, when they're going to provide feedback to our speakers, when we hear our grammarian and counter report. I won't use the word SO. It's one of my favorites to link everything together. We want to listen, think, and then speak. That's what you do in Toastmasters. It's what we do in table topics. It's what we do to be able to evaluate and provide people with feedback on what they do well as what they have for areas that they could consider improving. I'd like to welcome again our guest this evening, Terry Wellman. If you'd like to come and share a few of your observations with us, you can. I'm going to leave it totally up to you. If you Okay, that's fine. But welcome, and we hope you'll come back. And even better, we'd love it if you join. But feel free to come back however many times you'd like. Our next meeting will be the third Saturday in April, and that will be April 20th. Our meetings are the first Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. and the third Saturday each month at 9 a.m. And we have our meetings at the Anderson Community Television Studio at the Anderson Civic Center, located at 7850 5 Mile Road. We'd love to have you come and see what our meeting looks like from the inside here in the studio. Our director and producer tonight is Sheila Mudd-Baker, so she's been doing 2 roles, and I know that's a challenge because I've had to do that myself. I think with that, we will adjourn our meeting for Thursday evening, April 4th, 2013.